What up, YouTube? Let's hear. Thanks again for visiting the channel. As always, I appreciate that. Tonight, I'm just going to review a couple of knives for you real quick. These are the Damned Designs, D-A-M-N-E-D Designs. Banshee. This one's called the Banshee. And this one is called the Windego. The reason I'm showing you both of them tonight is because they're both pretty much the same knife. The only difference between the two is this one has an opening hole on the blade, and this one does not have an opening hole on the blade, and this one does. I like this one a little bit more, so I bought both of them, but I really enjoy both of these knives. So what we have here are just G10 flippers with steel frame locks. Fantastic action on both of them. And the blade steels are N690. N is in November, 690. I believe it's comparable to M390, but M390 is definitely a little bit more of a premium steel than the N690 is. So I'm going to get the blue one off to the side here, and we'll do some size comparisons on these guys. Compared to the Rat 1, it's a little bit shorter than the Rat 1, but it's definitely taller, a little bit more substantial in the hand. And compared to the Rat 2 is obviously going to be smaller. There we go. So as you can see, like I said, it's a little bit shorter than the Rat 1, and it's definitely quite a bit bigger than the Rat 2. So the specs on this guy, the blade, the overall length for this is 8.1 inches. The blade length is 3.6 inches. And the cutting edge, because of this sharpening choil here, is 3.4 inches. The handle length for this is 4.86 inches, and it has a weight of 5.5 ounces. As I said, this is a steel frame lock. The liners, if you look inside here, you can see that the liners are milled. They're definitely milled on the show side a lot more than they're milled on the lock side. I'm not sure why that is, but I'm sure it still cuts down quite a bit on the weight of the knife. The flipper tab doesn't come down too far past the bottom of the knife, which I'm sure some people would prefer. Doesn't really matter very much to me. I don't mind a nice little finger guard there. And since we can't use this, there's no forward finger choil on this guy. That doesn't bother me at all. You can see this is a relatively aggressive Tanto blade shape. And it's got a flat that runs out to about 85% of the blade. There's no swedge or anything, as you can see, but that's, there's that big hole there. I doubt they could have done anything like that. It's got a pretty aggressive thumb ramp here, which when you have a 4-finger grip on the knife, you can get your thumb up on here and use that to get a little bit more control over the knife if you're doing any detail work with this. This is a little too big to do a whole lot of detail work with, but hey, you never know. Everybody has their own preferences on what they use for certain things. The G10 on this is textured pretty well. It's kind of a peel ply texture G10, but it does have some milling on here on the top and on the bottom. It gives it a little bit of character. And there is a black back spacer here, which has a lanyard hole in it for those lanyard people out there. It is reversible for left and right hand carry for the pocket clip. As you guys know, I don't use pocket clips, so I took that guy off of there. And it also comes with a filler tab to cover the other side, which is nice. There's not a lot of people out there not a lot of companies out there that do that. I like this big pivot here. It's a pretty cool design. And taking this thing apart and putting it back together is relatively easy. I haven't really had any issues other than I will say the screws back here, there's a couple of little spacers back here I don't know if you can see well, no, it's covered up by the backspacer. So there's kind of like some standoffs inside of here. And for one reason or another, one of these screws was almost impossible to get out of here. It had a whole bunch of Loctite inside of the screw. So it took quite a bit of doing to get that off of there. Both of the knives that I bought came with JG10 scales, and I bought those like that intentionally so that I could dye them. The reason I was telling you about this, the problem with the screw back here, is because I had the same problem on both the knives, on exactly the same spot. So when you get this, just be careful when you're taking it apart. You might have to use a little bit of heat to get one of the standoffs off. Or, you know, if you can do what I did and just get a cloth inside of a pair of vice grips and get a good clamp onto the standoff, and then you can kind of use a good driver to get that screw out of there. Like I said, it takes a little bit of work, but you can definitely do it. The other blade here is, like I said, exactly the same. The only difference is you don't have this ramp here. You got that flat that carries out to about 85% of the blade, and the jimping on top of the spine is not too aggressive. It's not too fine either, so it's just right. You can get a really good grip on that if you need to. And again, the flipper tab on this one is the exact same. So I don't know if there's much else about this guy that I can tell you. I can say that this guy right here, there's a bunch of different variations up for sale on Dan Design's website. You can get this in either tan or JG10 with the N690 blade, which is stonewashed, or you can get it black. You also have the option to buy it with a stonewashed titanium handle and either black or stonewashed blades. And they also give you options to buy the blades in S35VN or 14C28N, which those are both also, you know, you've got the option to have those both in either stonewashed or black as well. The prices vary, obviously. The stonewashed S35VN is $160. The black 14C28N is $125. The stonewashed 14C28N is $110, and the black 35VN is $175. Excuse me. One other thing I wanted to cover with you guys before I ended the video, the the N690 steel. I had never heard of that before I got this knife, so I don't know if you guys have heard of it or not, but I can tell you just a few of the things. The carbon content for this is 1%, which is pretty good. The chromium content is 17%, which makes this a stainless steel. Anything above, I think it's 12 or 13%, is considered stainless steel, so that's a pretty high percentage for the chromium. It's one of the higher percentages that I've seen on quite a few knives. The other elements in here, I didn't really, I mean, I looked at it, but I didn't memorize it too much. The one thing that I can tell you is that the way the chemical makeup of this blade is, it's both very, very hard, and it's both very tough. It's also very tough. So I don't know if the newer people here know what that means exactly. You want a blade to be hard. The harder a blade is, you know, the better it performs. The less chance that it's going to have issues, unless you know, the way the chemical makeup is. It's sometimes they can be very, very hard, but they can't. You know, they won't be very, very tough. It's kind of hard to get that balance. You kind of lose the properties of one when you increase the properties of another in most circumstances. So if you have a blade that's very, very hard, but it's not very tough, it can roll, it can chip pretty easily, or it can break pretty easily. It can be very brittle if it's very hard, but it's not very tough. At the same time, you can have a blade that's pretty tough. You know, it won't break, it won't chip, it won't roll, but it's not hard enough to take a very good edge. So the way the chemical makeup of this blade is, you've got actually the best of both properties in here. It's from what I've read about it, it's very hard and very tough at the same time, which is not easy to do. So that's, you know, one thing that I wanted to tell you about this, because like I said, you're not able to find these properties in a lot of blades out there. So I think Dam Designs has got a pretty good thing going with their chemical makeup of their blades. The thing, I think the reason that they don't use M390 is because this is cheaper. So that helps them to keep down the cost. Excuse me. That helps them to keep down the cost of the blades. If you look around, you're not going to find a whole lot of titanium liner locks with M390 blades that are, I'm sorry, with S35VN blades or anything like that, around $125 or $160. You're just not going to find that. So I think that's all that I have for you guys tonight. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like and subscribe. Thank you guys for your time tonight, and I hope you have a good day. Take it easy. Bye.